Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
Sean Sebastian's joining us right now from Story County. He's a precinct secretary out there.
Well, Wolf, I have been on hold for over an hour with the Iowa Democratic Party. They tried to, I think, promote an app to report the results. The app, all accounts, just doesn't work. So we've been recommended to call into the hotline, and the hotline has not been responsive.
So, first of all, can we just laugh a lot, right? Regardless of what the results end up being, because they're already sending letters. Biden's already sent a letter from his lawyer. Everybody's claimed victory, right? I mean, they're talking about coin flips. You heard what the guy said. They tried to promote an app. Wait a minute. You guys didn't know about this before? It doesn't sound like it. And on top of that, even the data coming from the human beings seemed to be quite a mess. To say that they jacked the pooch would be a lie. This was a giant cluster, and it still is, regardless of the final results. And even though results are coming in and people, it doesn't matter. People are already complaining, and some are saying, hey, we got victory. You have one job to do. You have an app. Shouldn't be that hard. You could probably develop it on old, on the old, GoDaddy, right? Like $19.99. Get yourself something there, right? Some kids in the background put it in. Your human beings are in a room with you. It can't be that hard. It cannot be that hard. And to top it all off, you had no backup plan? You had no backup plan. So there was no, hey, just in case the app doesn't work, right? Because we've not tested it. I mean, we did it with like 3 people or something, and it was a controlled testing. Let me tell you how technology works. Right? Because my other company, we develop technology. We develop it with the coders, with the designers, with the artists, and then we troubleshoot. And then we work out the bugs. And then we beta test it some more. And then we work out more bugs. And then we beta test it some more. And then you work out more bugs. And then you do more beta testing. That's it. That's the way it works. This is an absolute joke. But guess what? Live on air, it got worse.
Sean, have you gotten any explanation at all as to what's going on?
No, I have not. No. I'm just waiting on hold. And so this is a real coincidence, Wolf. I just got off hold, so I've got to get off the phone to report the results. Hi. Hello? They hung up on me. They hung up on me. Okay. I've got to get back in line on hold. Oh. They just hung up.
It's so frustrating indeed.
Yeah, a joke. A giant, huge, massive joke. Heads should roll. People should resign and or be fired over this. This is a joke. I tweeted out last night, man, if this is the way you guys are going to run things, maybe it's best that we just keep Trump in there. He's crazy. He says a lot of loony things. But this reminds me, remember the Obamacare rollout? Right? They had how many years to get that thing ready? They spent hundreds of millions of dollars getting that thing ready, and it was an absolute because they didn't test it properly. The beta testing was wrong. They didn't quite understand it. Because usually what happens is, and this is where politics and money collide, you court favor with somebody, you get the opportunity to, quote unquote, bid on a job and or get money handed to you. They overpay for it. You hire the lowest common denominator to help you build it. It doesn't work. Doesn't matter. Everybody got paid. This is awful.
This is really kind of a worst-case scenario, I think, for the folks that organize this caucus. The Iowa Democratic Party says it's simply a reporting issue, that it's not a hack or an intrusion, which I think is important to note here. There is, at least in theory, there's a checkable record. It's not lost. That said, the damage done is pretty significant, both for the confidence in the Democratic Party and for campaigns looking for a bump out of tonight's results.
Yeah. And there was no backup plan, right? Like you have a backup plan. The backup plan is we're going to do everything like this, try to do this app, but we're also going to have a backup plan. And the backup plan is we're going to have everything down and ready to go. The humans, like we've done in the past without the app. and we can record it that way. And then if this doesn't work the way it's supposed to, we just call in and we record it to whoever the captain is or the leader of the Iowa ding-dongs, and the way it goes. Iowa Democrats, you should be absolutely embarrassed. And here's the thing. If you won last night, whoever they are really claiming to be victory, right? Because how much do you really trust that now? How much do you honestly trust that all of this was, there was no mess up here? I don't trust any of it. But if you did, you go to New Hampshire, you're saying, yeah, I won, but did you really win? And the losers are like, did we really lose? We didn't really lose. We didn't really win. It's a mess. It is absolutely a mess. And it's hilarious. It's phenomenal. You have one job. You don't have 50 jobs. You have one job. Develop this app. How long do we have? 6 months or a year. Okay. We could do that. It's not a big deal, right? I mean, it's an app. You're not building this complex back-end website with all... It's an app, right? We couldn't have done this by email. What if we'd been hacked? Could have done it by paper? Pigeon, right? Could have done it by pigeon? Could have texted the results, right? Maybe got tablets and had somebody scroll it in like they do the Stanley Cup. You know, where they put everybody's name on the Stanley Cup, who won the Stanley Cup. Maybe we do that? We take it over? Nope, couldn't do that. We're going to try this app. When are you going to try it? Today's the day we're rolling it out. When's the thing? Well, that's today. So we're doing it all at once. Oh, my Lord. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Of course, all of them out there are pretty excited, right, about it. You know, some people claiming victory, right?
By all indications, we are going on to New Hampshire victorious.
Woo! Are you sure? Like, I don't, maybe you are going on victorious. Maybe you're not. Because you don't know. And do you believe? Man, if you're Bernie right now, too, you're waking up and you go, I don't know. Could I believe him? No, I don't know. It just feels like something's always a mess.
Today marks the beginning of the end for Donald Trump.
Not if you guys keep going like that. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me. Love hearing from all of you. So nothing big today on the impeachment side, right? Tomorrow, they'll finish that thing off. Tonight, you've got the State of the Union, which will be interesting to see how much he says on script, because you know he's going to be biting his tongue because he wants to say something. I just want to say something. But he's been pretty good with these, right? He's been pretty good and apparently very optimistic and very forward-thinking, and a ton about the economy, jobs, those kind of things.
I'm told the president's been working through his speech on teleprompter yesterday with his aides. What they are telling us is this will be a positive, forward-looking message, touting his achievements, particularly on the economy. He doesn't plan to dwell, we're told, on the impeachment trial. Unclear exactly whether or not he'll even mention it. That'll probably be a game-time decision.
That'll be a Trump decision. Is he going to deviate, right? Is he going to deviate from his message that he's going to have on his teleprompter? Because you know Trump, right? He likes to do some of those things. He does. He likes to just kind of, just every once in a while, he'll veer to one direction or another. But I think he's more ad-lib when he's out, when he's either with reporters or he's on stage in front of a big crowd. This will be much more measured, I think. And I think he'll deliver, again, a pretty good speech. I don't think it's earth-shattering. He doesn't really tend to give earth-shattering speeches like this because he's not great on the teleprompter. But he's going to tout a lot of things. And the governor, oddly enough, of Michigan is going to be giving the rebuttal tonight. That's an interesting thing, too, that they chose her, Gretchen Whitmer, to give the rebuttal. And why is that? Well, because Michigan's mightily important for the Democrats. and they're being much more hyper-focused in areas that Hillary lost. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. What do you think of the debacle in Iowa? Let me know. You can text the program, tweet at us as well. AMAC, Association of Mature American Citizens, fastest growing, over 50 organization in the country. Great benefits out there on your behalf, working hard with politicians to make sure that common sense immigration reform and things like Social Security and Medicare are there and solvent in the future, and that the politicians don't mess with it. Don't screw it up. Don't do anything that adversely affects the world that we live in when it comes to economics, especially for people over the age of 50. Top of that, the benefits are incredible. Retail, restaurant, hotel, insurance benefits. Show you how you can save big on those. Huge discounts to amusement parks and movies, like 50% off of movies. It's just amazing what they offer. Now's your chance to join, and the price is right. It's free. There's no cost, no gimmick, no cash, nothing like that. All you have to do is just join. You go to amac.us/Chad. That's amac.us/Chad, or call them 888-355-1617. 888-355-1617. Sign up. 1 year. It's free. It's on me. amac.us/Chad. 1 year free on me. Chad Benson Show.
Don't let the Washington Beltway strangle you. This is where the exhausted majority comes to refuel, realign, and reevaluate. This is Chad Benson.
No GOP senator indicating they would vote for Trump's removal from office, including moderate Republicans like Alaska's Lisa Murkowski.
The Constitution provides for impeachment, but does not demand it in all instances.
With the result all but sealed, Democrats instead urging their Republican counterparts to view the trial through the lens of history. Lead House impeachment manager Adam Schiff.
You can't trust this president to do the right thing, not for 1 minute, not for one election, not for the sake of our country.
Trump's defense, meanwhile, arguing the impeachment process was partisan.
Which it was, right? It's been partisan in the Senate. It was partisan in the House. I've said all along, there's other things you can do in this situation. Nancy and them chose to go in another direction. Joe Manchin, Democrat, pretty conservative Democrat in West Virginia, threw something out there that I said they should have done all along.
I see no path to the 67 votes required to impeach President Trump, and haven't since this trial started. However, I do believe a bipartisan majority of this body would vote to censure President Trump for his actions in this manner. Censure would allow this body to unite across party lines and as an equal branch of government to formally denounce the president's actions and hold him accountable. His behavior cannot go unchecked by the Senate, and censure would allow a bipartisan statement condemning his unacceptable behavior in the strongest terms.
Absolutely. And if you don't want to do that, you're stupid. But I don't think they want anything. They want it's all or nothing as far as they're concerned. So they'll accept nothing, and that will be that. And we'll move on, right? As of tomorrow. State of the Union tonight. Iowa caucus still going. By the way, the Republicans had a caucus as well yesterday. Guess what happened? It went off without a hitch because it's different. So when you do it, so we know how you do the Iowa caucus if you're a Democrat. You show up somewhere, right? And then there's mass confusion. You try to use an app that doesn't work. You wait on hold for a long time, and then all of the candidates claim victory and fly off to the next place while everyone else looks around at each other. That's the way you do it. The Republicans is different. They have giant, huge bouncy castles. And the head is just this massive, huge bouncy castle. And whichever bouncy castle you get in is how they count your vote. So yesterday, 97% of the vote went into the Donald Trump bouncy castle. That's right, 97%. Think about that, kids. 97%. There are two other people. Joe Walsh was one of them running. No, not the guy from the Eagles. And I don't know. It was a joke. I mean, just a joke. But it went off without a hitch. That's what I'm trying to tell you. They didn't have a mess because they're like, well, not too bad, right? We make this happen. It's just such a joke. How embarrassed are you if you are waking up today and you're from Iowa and you're part of the Democratic Party? How just you sit there and you just go, oh, my God. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. The coronavirus still being very corony.
What do you think the chances are that this novel coronavirus outbreak could become a pandemic?
If it gets into countries in the developing world, like in Africa, where some of those countries don't have the healthcare system to do identification, isolation, and contact tracing, then the likelihood of it becoming a global pandemic is much bigger.
That's one of the things that we've talked about here is I don't worry about America. We're fine, right? We're a modern society with great medical and tech, and we're forward thinking. We've got access to stuff. It's getting into a place like Africa. It's getting into a place like India and getting into rural places where they don't have that. They can't distinguish between whether or not it's some sort of cold or flu and something like this. And that's the big issue. That's when it becomes a pandemic. And it's ugly, right? That's the fear. And I don't know if I believe China. It's funny because I had some people push back at me. Where are your stats? Go look at the stats across the board and look at what other people are saying about China, not just me. You take the communists at their word, right, that this is what they're doing. But go look at what happened in 2002 in SARS and how they lied about that. Now, supposedly they're more transparent, but do you really think that? Do you really think they're more transparent? I don't. And they're blaming the U.S. for a bunch of misinformation. Oh, it's all a bunch of misinformation and worry. Everything's fine. Nothing to see here. Okay. Well, we're seeing pictures out of there that tell us something different. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me. On to New Hampshire. What's this mean for the candidates that maybe won or lost? We'll touch on that. Super Bowl ratings in. Pretty good. Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
In just the last decade, new medications have been shown to help our own immune systems to fight cancer.
We're seeing the impact of new therapies actually begin to have a longer-term impact.
Dr. Howard Burris is president of the American Society of Clinical Oncology, whereas 20 years ago, kidney cancer, for example, automatically meant kidney removal.
These targeted therapies might actually eliminate the need for surgery in this type of cancer.
Still, nearly 15,000 Americans die every year from kidney cancer.
Cancer itself, as we look out, today is World Cancer Day, and it's a tough thing. Yesterday, in my industry, but somebody well known to everybody, made an announcement. Somebody who is an inspiration and truly the king of radio made an announcement about his recent bad news.
The upshot is that I have been diagnosed with advanced lung cancer. Diagnosis confirmed by 2 medical institutions back on January 20th. First realized something was wrong on my birthday weekend, January 12th. And I wish I didn't have to tell you this. And I thought about not telling anybody. I thought about trying to do this without anybody knowing, because I don't like making things about me. But there are going to be days that I'm not going to be able to be here.
So Rush Limbaugh dealing with lung cancer, late stages. A little while ago, Shannon Doherty announced that her cancer has returned and she has stage 4 cancer. People are touched. You know, we talk about politics and we sit here, and yesterday you saw some people come out and say some awful things about Rush, because that's what we do nowadays. But by and large, a good majority of people, even on the other side of the aisle, said, look, you know, I don't like his politics, but I don't want anybody to get this. And this is what makes us human, right? It's not the red and the blue. It's not Democrat and Republican and progressive, liberal, and this is what makes us human. We're all in this thing together, right? Cancer doesn't care if you're black or white, gay or straight. Cancer doesn't care if you voted for Trump or you voted for Hillary. It doesn't care. And that's sometimes we need to remind ourselves that, look, for all the other stuff, we're humans. We're Americans. We're in this thing together. So, and I'm sure most of you listening have either battled with cancer, either personal level, maybe yourself have had it, or you've known somebody who has. Not too many people out there anywhere who can say, well, I've never met anybody or have known anybody who's ever even had cancer at all. Most of us have, right? We've had family members. And again, maybe it's you. So it's something to think about on this day. And we've made huge strides. But there's a long way to go. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at us. So they have sent out like a statement, the Democrats and the people who put this absolutely awful app together. And this is pretty awesome. Listen to this. So they go through the usual, last night more than 1,600 precincts caucus together, blah, blah, blah. They go through this. But this is the weird part. As part of our investigation, we determined with certainty that the underlying data collected via the app was sound. So all of the data was good. While the app was recording data accurately, it was reporting only partial data out. So wait a minute. It recorded it fine, but it spit out only certain amounts. We've determined that this was due to a coding issue in the reporting system. The issue was identified and fixed. The application's reporting issue did not impact the ability of precinct chairs to report the data accurately. So wait a minute here. I just want to get this correct. You had the app. They recorded everything and it went into the app fine, right? But it didn't come out fine. But now you fixed it because there wasn't an issue except for the part where there was a coding issue. And I go back to the fact that this was not beta tested worth a damn. This wasn't beta tested at all. You can tell. And people, I'm telling you guys right now, this is going to be one of those scenarios where people are, you watch. Already there's been letters sent. I know that, and this shows, I think, also the weakness that Biden's lawyers have already sent a letter. And I think that's because I don't think he has the staying power. This is ugly. I mean, this is not a good look for you. This is not a good look at all. They could spin it however they want to spin it. That it was this or was that, but you have one job to do. You have one job to do. It shouldn't have been that hard. You build an app, right? You got 15-year-old kids that build apps and get them all over. They get them onto Apple. They get them all over. I mean, it's just, you know, you can go to Google Store. You can download. You got kids building these things that work, that are far more complex. And you guys couldn't do this and beta test it in a way? It was not ready for prime time? That is an absolute joke. People should be fired today. Heads should roll. That money you paid for that app, you should get all that money back. What an absolute joke this was. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me. You can text the program as well. Super Bowl, huge.
Chiefs are Super Bowl champions. 99.9 million total viewers watched the Kansas City Chiefs beat the San Francisco 49ers to win the Super Bowl Sunday night on Fox. That's up a tiny bit from last year when 98.2 million watched the Patriots beat the Rams. It's the first time in 5 years ratings for the big game went up, and when you add in Fox Deportes, NFL, and Verizon digital properties, the number climbs to 102 million. But that's second to the halftime show. 103 million tuned in specifically to see Jennifer Lopez and Shakira, up 4% from Maroon 5 last year.
Yeah. Remember Maroon 5, too. Let's go back a year and remember Maroon 5, right? Adam Levine had his shirt off. Girls were swooning over him. I didn't hear the big thing. Yesterday, people freaking out. And, oh, my God, and they were shaking their butt. Get over yourselves. Well, I didn't like it. There was a poll out there. There's little kids in the room. Come on, right? First of all, you're the parent. Yeah, you guys shouldn't watch this. Let's practice together. Hey, you guys shouldn't watch this. Go in the other room. You shouldn't watch this. You shouldn't. I was talking to Governor Doug Ducey, Arizona governor, yesterday, and he's like, well, I liked it when there was Tom Petty. And I'm like, Tom Petty was awful. Right? He was. That's because we had, remember the whole Nipplegate thing, right? Like we saw Janet Jackson's nipples and people had to go and people had to go into therapy. And it was like, well, how do you explain this to your kid? It was like, it's a boob. Get over it. We're moving on with life. Right? That's what it is. There you go. It's a boob. Oh, my God. Still, it's crazy to sit here and to watch people argue yesterday about, well, this was too risque or it was too this or it was too that. It was a halftime show, and that's what people wanted. They wanted a show, right? Nobody wants to watch somebody come out and just stand out there and go, born in the U. Nobody wants to see that. They want explosions. They want big things. It's a show. It is. And that's what it was. A lot of people tuned in. I've always said, too, look at the halftime numbers compared to everything else. Halftime numbers were bigger than that. Now, everybody's there for the Super Bowl, but more people will wander in just to watch that and leave. Like if that was the only thing on, that's not going to be 103 million people. But because it's part of the spectacle, they watch it. But the fact that we're talking about it, geez, God, oh my God, I can't even believe, geez. And then they showed their butts and they shook their butts. And what will we do? Therapy. It was a little too much. Jeez. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tonight, the President's State of the Union. A lot of people are going, is he going to mention it? Is he going to?
Tonight will mark just the second time in history an American president has delivered a State of the Union address during an impeachment trial. When President Clinton was in the same position in 1999, he didn't even acknowledge his ongoing trial. White House Press Secretary Stephanie Grisham on Fox this morning said she didn't think President Trump will either.
If you look at the ratings, the American people are frankly bored of it. I don't think people want to hear that. People want to hear what the president has done for this country and what he's planning to do for this country.
Karen Travers, ABC News, the White House.
Yeah, and Karen's right there. I don't think he's going to mention it, and if he does, it'll be something offhand, right? Because I don't think they're writing it into it, but he's got to take just take a quick lesson in history and how you address something like this, and the way you address it is not addressing it. That's the best thing to do. Do not address it. Ignore it. Move on. There you go. Don't address it. Move on and talk about all the things that you want to do. Talk about the good things. Talk about the fact that we've taken out some bad guys. Talk about the fact that you're trying to pull some troops, but all of a sudden you're putting troops back. Talk about the economy still being good, low unemployment. Talk about the things that matter to the people. And based on the numbers, nobody's really paying attention, partly because we already know what the outcome's going to be. Right? And the other part is a lot of times we tuned into certain things like the impeachment of Clinton. Yes, it was salacious, but we were hearing the information for the first time. I don't even really remember the House side of it. I remember the trial itself. We saw everything in this one. So there was nothing new to be learned. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. I'm an active person. I'm up early. I'm up late. Work out. People always go, how do you do it? Simple. Take care of myself to, eat pretty good. But I also look for, especially when I'm working out and I need a little oomph and I like to get myself going, those endorphins and stuff, I need a little help. And that is where Beat Elite comes in. Humans Beat Elite is amazing. It can help extend endurance, which it does. I really feel it. So I think about 30, 40 minutes before my workout, and about 15 minutes into my workout, I feel it just like I got more endurance. I feel like I can extend my workout, and that's exactly what I do. Beat Elite will help you improve energy and stamina, increase oxygen delivery throughout the body. And I take it when I go play soccer. And I play soccer 3-4 days a week. And I run, and I try to, and I work myself up to it throughout my workout, where by the end of it, I feel like I'm going harder, and I feel like it can stay longer. And that's what I love about it. Beat Elite is trusted by hundreds of elite teams, athletes, and organizations all over the world. So you know what? You're getting the top-notch performance product that's out there. If you're like me and you want to work out a lot and you also want to make sure you get a little bit of energy in that workout where you can extend it, this is what it's all about. Do what I did. Take your game to the next level. Beat Elite. Beat Elite. It's that simple. Go to livehuman.com/Chad. Get 20% off your first purchase. The team at Human is making this offer exclusively to my listeners only. You're not going to find a deal like this anywhere else. Nobody else has this. We do. livehuman.com/human. livehuman.com/Chad. Chad Benson Show.
No fake outrage here, just the real thing. The Chad Benson Show.
Ken Worthy just got hit by a deer.
It was just a bit of brown, and then I saw his face, and I was down on the ground that quick.
It happened right in this McDonald's parking lot, just in the middle of the day.
I mean, I just see the flash of him rolling over me and going in a straight line, and he was gone.
Worthy's a retired detective. He's seen a lot of stuff, but this even caught him off guard.
I just didn't expect it at 12:30 in the afternoon leaving the McDonald's. It was.
Yeah. Yeah. Can you imagine that? Have you ever seen, like, you ever think about this for a second, how hard that would hurt, but imagine standing somewhere and somebody running kind of full steam at you and hits you. That's going to hurt. Deer's going to go a lot faster and shocking. And then you've got McDonald's, and your McDonald's is ruined.
He and his wife went to that McDonald's for lunch last week, and as they were leaving, suddenly the unexpected date crasher.
We're walking out with our Cokes, and usual, you look both ways, and my wife caught a look. I looked, literally just saw him last second, and he collided with me. I was down and then back up. Oh my gosh, I just got hit, looked, saw him, and I about doubled over laughing. It wasn't my wife, it wasn't kids in the parking lot. It could have been worse, and we're very blessed.
Yeah, you didn't die. Deers kill a lot of people every year. Usually because you hit them in the car, and they come through the windshield. You don't want that.
So all that's left to do now is laugh, especially now that he has the video to prove this incredible story.
A lot of people we told the story to, they would say, "Oh, you hit a deer with your car." No, the deer ran over me in the parking lot.
Yeah. Like you walked away with nothing. Man, you see some of those people get just crushed by animals. It's nuts. Speaking of animals that can crush you, so Pablo Escobar, if you guys don't know about Pablo Escobar, for all the things we talk about with cartels, they all pale in comparison to who Pablo Escobar was. He was the drug lord. He makes El Chapo look like nothing. Like nothing. Well, he had all kinds of crazy stuff. He had a zoo. Wasn't legal, by the way, but nobody really checked. It was Colombia, and he was Pablo Escobar. But in his zoo, his favorite thing he ever had was his hippos. Right? So he had the hippos, and he loved them, ported them. Well, after he was killed, they don't do the hippos, and the hippos kind of just were left to fend for themselves, and they cruised on into the Magdalena River. 4 hippos, 93, 100 hippos now. And they don't know what to do with them. They killed one a few years ago, and people were outraged. But they're not a native species, and they can survive there. So they're trying to look at it as a kind of, well, it's not the worst thing, right? It's done some damage in some areas, but it's also helping out with burrowing into certain places and helping some of the landscape in other places and bringing out nutrients and helping the plants, and maybe it can help. But they don't know what to do with these things, and they're breeding fast. Fast. and they're also starting to change. The biological side of them is different now because they're in some of these places that aren't like lakes and they're rivers that they're not used to. It's interesting, though. He had all kinds of stuff, but his hippos are everywhere. Imagine that now, man. They got all kinds of stuff. Colombia's crazy. It is the wild, wild west. You want to own an animal? They pretty much were like, you shouldn't, but we're not gonna pop you for it. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at us tonight. State of the Union. More positive, more forward thinking. Everybody's kind of figuring he's going to step away from the impeachment side of things and not get too personal. I don't know if he does that. But, that's just Trump. And maybe we'll have the Iowa caucus results. Maybe. And will you even believe him? That's the other thing. How much of this do you actually believe? That's something else. Take away all of this. Who knows? Maybe they just say, look, we couldn't figure it all out, so everybody gets 5. Everybody gets 5 delegates. We're sorry about this. We'll do better next time. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. It's the Chad Benson Show.
This is the Chad Benson Show. Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
President Trump delivers his third State of the Union address, and White House officials say he'll lay out a vision of, quote, relentless optimism. The theme of the speech is the great American comeback, but the cloud of impeachment will hang over the House chamber, with the vote on the articles not expected to take place until Wednesday evening. White House officials will not say if the president will address impeachment in his speech.
Yeah, I don't think he will. But, we'll find out a little bit if he does or doesn't. And whatever, you've got to remember with Trump goes off script. So you can give him a script. He tends to be pretty much on script in the State of the Unions, though. He may have a quib here and there. He may make something kind of funny, but he doesn't go totally unscripted. So I don't think he'll address it, but it'll be interesting to see how optimistic he gets, right? Because you know him, he's very optimistic. Everything's good, And if you're listening to the Democrats, everything's bad. Guess where the reality is, folks? Anybody? Usually in between, right? Things are better than they are worse. But you can't win elections if you're running against things are better than they are worse. So you have to make sure that everybody knows the world is coming to an end, right? You watch these debates, and we've got a debate, on Friday night? People forget that. While this mess is still going on in Iowa, and I don't know if anybody's ever going to trust the results that come out of this, right? I don't know if anybody will. It's funny. You've got total cover. So if you didn't do as well as you thought you should have done, you could say, I don't believe that. If you did better, you can go, well, yeah, we did pretty good. We knew we were going to do pretty good. So nobody really loses. But the people that could potentially have been clear-cut winners don't get to take that momentum into the debate on Friday and then into New Hampshire next week. Now, I think New Hampshire is a race for second because that's Bernie town in a lot of ways. That's his backyard. And he's got a lot of support there. And I know Elizabeth Warren's from near that neck of the woods, but she just doesn't have that same kind of pull that he does there. But it was a disaster. And I don't care who you are. If you're looking at this and you're saying to yourself, how did this happen? It happened because they didn't beta test it worth a damn. I don't think they actually did any real testing on this thing, and they could come out and say all kinds of stuff.
The Iowa Democratic Party said its systems were secure. There was not a cyber intrusion, but what the party called a coding issue in the reporting system.
That's why you beta test. That's why you beta test. So you can find it out. Right? My uncle and I, we have a company. We do these kind of things. You know what we do? We beta test. And then what we do? We beta test more. Then what do? We beta test more. So when it's ready to go live, we work out the bugs here and there. But that doesn't seem like any of this stuff was done. And the Iowans are looking around, and quite frankly, the Democratic Party, you guys in Iowa, look like a massive joke.
The data was sound, but the app was reporting only part of it. The issue was identified and fixed, but caucus captains had to call in the results, party officials had to enter the data manually, and that, the statement from the Iowa Democrats said, took longer than expected.
It shouldn't have taken that long. It shouldn't have. You didn't have a backup plan. You should have had a backup plan. You absolutely should have had a backup plan, but you didn't have a backup plan. You didn't. It's a joke. You look like clowns. You do. You look like clowns. And for all of those you keep scored, you're like, well, did the Republicans have a caucus? Yes, they did. Trump got 97% of the vote. Not a shocker. This is our not a shocker face. I said earlier, you know how they did it? They have giant inflatable bounce houses. Every candidate's head is a bounce house, and it's huge. And you just go inside of it and you bounce around, and then they count how many people go in there. They got a person with a clicker. Click, 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 click. And then they're like, 37,000 went in the Trump head. And they're like, and the Walsh was the other one. Say, 8 people are in Walsh's head. And that's how they do it. Would have been better. Would have absolutely been better. But let's get back to the caucus for a minute. Something that I think people should take notice of was the actual turnout itself. Because remember, for all of us out there who followed Trump for the last 3 years in his presidency, he was taking us to a nuclear war, he's going to destroy the earth. They've never had so much anger towards one human being. They're going to turn out in droves and absolutely destroy this guy. And it starts in Iowa.
The lack of a clear winner coming out last night or any real final results isn't the only problem. There was also turnout. Only about the same number of Democrats turned out this time as did in 2016, well short of the turnout in 2008 when Barack Obama got his big victory.
Yeah, that's not something that I think people thought. And then you have difference in ages, right? Because that's one of the big thing is what's the age side of it look like? Are the young going to finally take their place, this millennial generation, as the big voting bloc they could be? Or are they going to kind of be, excited for their candidate, not excited for the process? And if their candidate's not in it, are they going to just go, nah? That's a big thing.
Caucus goers age 65 and over supported Joe Biden more than any other candidate, according to entrance polls. Those seniors also seem to like Pete Buttigieg, who's nearly 30 years their junior.
And why is that important? He's their middle of the road. You know who benefits from this giant mess the most? This huge mess in Iowa? Bloomberg. Bloomberg benefits the most out of this. So we're going to touch on Bloomberg a little bit later, but you have to think. Because Biden's already having some serious issues. He's fired off letters from his attorneys. There's some stuff going on there. He's worried that his momentum, and I think this helps him more than it hurts him. I think this helps Buttigieg as well. I think this hurts Bernie in some cases more than anybody else. Because Bernie had the potential of rocking and rolling these first two into South Carolina, where he may do okay, but he's starting to pick up some of the African-American vote. And when you get that momentum, that's huge. It is. And it's not just about picking up other voters as well. It's also about dollars. Because people would put money in a certain candidate, may look at that candidate's viability and say, I don't think that person has what it takes, and I don't want to throw good money away. I would rather put it somewhere where I think it has a better chance. So you've got the older voters. And why that's important, though, is because older voters vote. Right? We just talked about the younger voters. And one thing about Bernie voters that's totally different is when Bernie's off the ticket, you can pretty much guarantee 20+% of them will not follow another candidate. And if they do happen to say they'll get away from the party, they'll go Jill Stein or somebody, a third party, but they won't follow the candidate right away to the Democratic Party. And that's big.
That's flip for 78-year-old Bernie Sanders, who claimed nearly 50% of support from all caucus goers aged 17 to 29. 35% of those between 30 and 44 also said they were supporting Sanders.
Yeah. He's got that young vote. They're loving it, right? They're absolutely loving it. He's great. He's going to give them all the free stuff they've ever dreamed of. And then he's going to give them more free stuff. And then when that's not done, he's going to give them more free stuff. And then when that's not done, there's a lot more free stuff coming. Kids, the stuff, it's coming. It's free. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at us. Love hearing from every single one of you. I do. Tomorrow, they will vote on impeachment, the final go-round. Not going to do it today, so Trump's got to do a State of the Union while still under the fog and the eeriness of impeachment. And they gave their final big pitch yesterday. They got out there and just gave it their old college try.
Once he got caught, President Trump engaged in obstruction. He ordered every government agency and every official to conceal evidence of his wrongdoing from Congress. The president's obstruction was unlawful and unprecedented, but it also confirmed his guilt. Innocent people don't try to hide every document and witness, especially those that would clear them. That's what guilty people do.
Val Deming's there. So we know how this ends. He's not guilty. He's acquitted. Joe Manchin's pushing for a censure. I've said all along they should have censured him in the House, and we could have moved on. If you don't know what that is, you're going to get a strongly worded letter inside of your employee file. It's the best way to describe that. A strongly worded letter inside of your employee file, and then we all move on. Here's the other question. When are they going to try to go after him again? Because this isn't done. This isn't done. This is not done by any stretch of the imagination. And if he wins a second term, I would not be surprised if they come again at some other point in the future for something else. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at us. Raycons, love my earbuds. I go out, I work out hard, play a little soccer. I can run around with them. Don't have to worry about them falling out. They fit perfectly. Great for all the things that I do. And if you're looking for earbuds, and a lot of people out there are, and, I always see these things touting this earbud or that earbud, and it's only cost this, and it's a Black Friday deal. Let me tell you something about Raycon. Better audio quality. The E25's best one yet. 6 hours of playtime. Seamless Bluetooth pairing. More bass. Compact design. Great for noise isolating fits. So again, when you're running around, you're taking phone calls, whatever you're doing, sounds great. But they're a third to a half of the price of all of those other crazy brands out there. Raycon was built by Ray J, right? Guy who's been in the industry a long time, producer, music guy. He put it together in such a way that these things sounds incredible. And I'm talking about amazing. They look amazing. He took them to all of his friends. He took it to Snoop Dogg. Said, Snoop, what do you think of these? Snoop loved them. You will too. Now's your chance. Save big. So already about half the price, third of the price of everything else out there for earbuds. Yet no dangling wires, no stems. Now you're going to save 15%. Simple and easy. BuyRaycon.com/Chad. 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 Chad Benson Show.
You go, boy.
This isn't about right or left. This is just about right and wrong.
Right you are, Chad. The Chad Benson Show.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Ignition. Liftoff.
Now it's time to find out what's trending. What's trending? Yeah, what does that mean? I mean something, right? Like it's trending on the old internet. What's trending? Stuff. Give you a hint. Des Moines and Cedar Rapids happen to be the place where some things are trending. Oh, what's that supposed to mean? We'll talk about it in a minute. Let's go over to Google. Some stuff that's trending. Beyonce and Jay-Z, they remained seated during the Super Bowl anthem. That caused a big fervor. Rush Limbaugh yesterday announcing he has advanced lung cancer. Shannon Doherty is also trending because she reveals stage 4 cancer diagnosis. McMillions is trending on Google. If you don't know what that is, so do you guys remember the Monopoly McDonald's game? Well, some people pulled off a crazy heist and stole about $24 million from it. And HBO's got a new documentary about it. And Rosa Parks, as we celebrate Black History Month, is trending. And they talk about how she took a stand by taking a seat. Not the first, but the one we remember the most. Claudette Colvin was the first. But they didn't feel that to make that stand that they needed to make was that person that needed to make that stand was Claudette. She was younger. She was pregnant. They said she was a bit, she was a firecracker. And they needed somebody else who maybe could withstand some of the slings and arrows, a little bit more upstanding, if you will, as far as they were looking at it. Kind of like what they did with Jackie Robinson, right? Many people thought, well, what about all of these other great, baseball players in back then in the Negro Leagues? Why didn't they? Because they wanted somebody who essentially was going to come in, be willing to take it, and the stuff that they went through. And that was kind of like Rosa the same way. Gone over to this magical world of Twitter, and it is all just destroying Iowa, right? Iowa caucus disaster. Tom Perez resign. You just name it. DNC is corrupt. Bernie Sanders president. Bernie, man, I'm telling you, it's you really look at this and you think to yourself, my goodness me. Is there something in the back of your mind where you think, I don't know, just feels a little bit weird? It just does. It feels like there's something. As far as the results, do you even believe any of the results? That's something else. So if you're Bernie, right, you know how you can spin all these things. Everybody knows what we can spin it. We can spin it. We won. We lost. We didn't do well. How much of this can we take away? The momentum was lost. It's not a big deal. There's all of those things that you can. But how many people are really going to believe these things? How many of them are going to buy into these results? I don't think many are. I don't think you can. It just feels like a giant mess. And yeah, there was no hack. There was no cyber issue. But it still just feels like whatever comes out, people are going to question. They're going to question whether or not the validity of this is something they should, believe. And they say, well, it's a coding issue in the back end. The data went in fine, but when it came back out, it wasn't good. And they fixed the back, and it's taken them a long time. I just don't think that you're going to get whoever wins will maybe go, did I really win? Now, you'll take it and you'll celebrate it, right? But whoever loses, you've got this, I don't know if I believe that. And you've put credible doubt into a lot of people's minds. It was just a giant That's it. It's the best way to describe it. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me. Love hearing from all of you. Let me tell you who the winner was yesterday, who wasn't even on the ballot or inside of any of those rooms. But I think he came out smelling just fine. Oh, yeah. We'll talk about that. Text the program. Tweet at us as well, at Chad Benson Show. This is the Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
Very little. I just think of little. Now he wants a box for the debates to stand on. Okay, it's okay. There's nothing wrong. You could be short. Why should he get a box to stand on, okay? He wants a box for the debates. Why should he be entitled to that? Really? Then does that mean everyone else gets a box? Cory Booker and all these people couldn't get any of the things that Bloomberg's getting now. I think it's very unfair for the Democrats, but I would love to run against Bloomberg. I would love it.
No, you wouldn't. You would not. You'd say you want to at all. You don't want to run against Bloomberg. Yesterday's winner out of Iowa was Mike Bloomberg. That's it. Yesterday's winner out of the giant mess was Mike Bloomberg. Because momentum wasn't picked up. It was more stand around and wait. We thought we were going somewhere, right? It feels like, I was explaining to somebody this morning, I said, it's like you get on an airplane and everybody thinks they're going somewhere and they're getting super excited because they're going on a trip and this is going to be awesome. It's going to be great adventure and all of these things. Then you taxi out and you sit out there for a little while and people are still getting excited and you start to get a little antsy because you're sitting there. Then you've been there a little bit longer and people start wondering what's going on. Then all of a sudden you start to taxi and you realize you turn around back because they've got to go back, have everybody get off the plane because something went wrong. Like it didn't take off. All the while, somebody else who you didn't go with is on a different plane, and they're already in the air flying. And you're like, oh, yeah, frustration. So they hit out yesterday at each other. He wants a box. Well, he's going to be in the second debate this month. Now, Friday is the debate for New Hampshire. Don't know what even that's going to look like. But the rules have changed now, which, of course, are making a lot of people upset. I can't believe they're going to buy he's buying it. He's buying the billionaires and millionaires. He's going to buy it. He's going to buy, doing all the things that he's doing. Bernie is upset. Why couldn't people get on the stage and all of this stuff? And look, I got no problem with somebody who wants to throw their own money at it. I've never understood that. Is that a wrong thing? Well, he shouldn't be able to buy it. He's not. First of all, you're buying it. You're just paying with other people's money. That's how you're trying to get elected. You're buying people's votes by telling them you're going to give them free health care, by telling them you're going to give them free college, by telling them you're going to give them a job, by telling them all of these things that you're telling them. You're buying it. You're just using other people's money to do it. He's like, I don't want anybody else's money. I'll use my own. Bloomberg, though, is very interesting. He's an interesting character. Chris Christie said it the other day.
No one trusts Mike Bloomberg, okay? Because Mike Bloomberg's for Mike Bloomberg. He was a Republican when it was convenient and was cuddled up to Rudy Giuliani. Then when it was not so great to be a Republican during the Iraq War, he becomes an independent. And then when he's not an independent anymore, because that doesn't work, he becomes a Democrat.
Yeah, he's been all over the place. And his first misstep was the Super Bowl. He played an ad that is, of all the things you can run, right? So you're going to introduce yourself to 100 million people, maybe 40 or 50 million voters, right? 60 million voters. You're going to introduce yourself. People already know who you are. You've got pretty decent name recognition. But you're going to introduce yourself to all of these people. And you pick the most divisive issue that you can pick outside of choice. You take on guns. We know that you're here to take on guns. But the way that you took it on, I talked to two people yesterday who I work with, who I respect, both of which are middle-of-the-road Republicans. Both support the Second Amendment, but both say to me, I'd like to see some stuff done on guns. I think we could get some stuff done. But when that ad came out, it made me think, nope, you want more than we're willing to give, and we can't trust you. Rather than tout the fact that you came from nothing, that you built up a $1 billion business, that you can work on both sides of the aisle, and you understand both what Republicans think and what Democrats think, and while you can't unite everybody, you can do a better job, and you can build a better tomorrow. Instead, you come out and basically say, we're here to take your guns. Doesn't work that way. It doesn't. All that being said, who's going to take on Trump? I think the last two standing are still going to be Bloomberg and probably Bernie at the rate Biden's going. I don't even think Biden knows where he's at. Chris Matthews said something, though, that, and we keep echoing it. Remember, Trump is a force of nature. He is a force of nature. We just heard him talking about Bloomberg wants to have a box, some sort of stand that he can stand on. Little things like that, little jabs like that. But being on stage with him is like being in the room with Mike Tyson, ring of Mike Tyson back in the day. Everybody's got a plan till somebody steps in the ring and they get punched in the face. Then what happens? Everything changes.
They were going into the fourth quarter, the fourth year of the Trump presidency, and the score is tied. After all the acrimony, all the hating, all the back and forth, the bad names, add it all up, the impeachment, what looks like an acquittal, added all the whole pile up together, and we're tied again. Look at the numbers. He's up moving into the high 40s. The economy's zooming. I see him as a very, very daunting opponent for whoever the Democratic nominee is.
Yeah, he is. He is a daunting opponent. And it's not just the economy's good. It's him as a personality. It's him as a personality. That is a big thing. Will people hate him? Yes. But the people that love him. And then there are those in between. And those in between, the tie is probably going to be the economy. If the economy is still roaring, people do not want to, they do not want to deviate from something they think is good. They don't. And I look around and I say, who's going to beat that?
What are my thoughts? I'm not happy. I'm not happy with this field. I think they got to find a candidate for president that could beat Trump.
And you don't think anybody in this field
I'm
can
looking.
beat Trump?
I'm still looking.
Still looking.
What's the problem?
Obvious problems. They're all problems. Bernie Sanders is not going to be president of the United States. Okay?
I wouldn't say never. But when we talked earlier about the age in Iowa and how Bernie has all the young people, the thing with young people is young people don't vote consistently. They say they're going to do it, and they don't vote consistently. That over 65 crew, that over 45 crew, those Gen Xers and baby boomers, they do vote. And you know what else they do? They do remember what true socialism was like, right? I'm not talking about, what's going on in Venezuela, which is a nightmare, and we can all agree with that, which is a dictatorship, and I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the Cold War. I'm talking about, you look around and you see a lot of these things. He can say all day long, we want to be like, Finland, Norway, Denmark, and Sweden, and be Scandinavian, which, he can preach it all we want. He's not going to come out and say, I would like to do this, 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 and this. Nobody does that. But that word is going to scare them. And let's not forget, he is not a Democrat. He is not. Super Tuesday is going to be huge. And I think Bloomberg is going to play a huge role in this.
Bernie's got the NFC locked up. So Mike Bloomberg, that's where it's headed. I really do believe we're going to spend March and April watching these two guys, neither of whom are Democrats. This is the terrible irony. Two non-Democrats competing for the Democratic president, which shows that something's gone wrong in the Democratic Party the last 10 years or so. Except for Obama, it's not a healthy party right there. There's something wrong in the core of the Democratic Party. It hasn't settled its fish. It hasn't agreed left and center left to agree on a candidate who can appeal to both sides.
And that's both sides of their party. And it's the same thing over on the Republican side. The difference with the Republicans is Trump is, again, that force of nature. Trump pushes and he pulls, and he does enough to keep everybody happy. But there's no Trump behind him. The fracture is going to come after Trump. They don't have that. They don't have that force of nature over there. They don't have that person that dominates the party. They don't have that person that holds it together. They don't have that person that's able to basically tell everybody, this is what we're doing. I'm the king or queen here. This is how we're rolling. Period. Case closed. They don't have that. And that's tough. And it would be irony that on the Democratic ticket is possibly an independent socialist or Mike Bloomberg, who's kind of a Democrat, but realistically is a more left-leaning libertarian than anything else. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at us. Who knows what will happen again? What is going to come out of Iowa that anybody's going to believe? That's just it. The blunder is massive, and normally that momentum you pick up is dead. But if you were going to come second, third, or fourth, and that may, especially if you're Biden, that doesn't hurt you as much because of this nightmare.
Usually you had 36 hours of a bounce. Because of the State of the Union and because of the acquittal, this is 36 seconds.
Yeah. Rahm Emanuel there. He's absolutely right. There's going to be no bounce here worth a darn. And that sucks if you are the person that eventually they say, hey, we flipped a bunch of coins and you end up being the winner. Oh, great. Oh. You don't get that. On the opposite side, though, if you are Biden and it looks like you struggled, right? Or you're Warren and you struggled, you don't have to really worry too much because nobody's taking this serious as it could have been had everything been settled last night. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me. Car Shield. Love it. Got my Car Shield. You should get yours. I do. Man, I tell you, people say, you really have it? Yeah, I do. What did you do? Because like sometimes people call and go, I just want, this. Well, and then you got a car that you don't have the right plan for. You got to call them. Talk to them. If your car's more modern, right, maybe you bought it used, but you don't have the warranty, the factory warranty didn't, come over, but you got tons of electronics, CarShield covers that. You've got to tell them the things that you have. Walk through the plans they have. They've got the right plan for your budget and for the car that you have. You get 24/7 roadside assistance, a rental car while your car's in the shop getting fixed, and the shop's the shop you choose, right? Take it anywhere. I know where I take mine. Where are you going to take yours? Your favorite mechanic? Maybe take it back to the dealership. They'll get it sorted out. You pay a small deductible. They get them paid the rest. 1 million+ customers they've helped. Now is your chance to become a part of it. Get covered today by CarShield. Like I said, call them. Walk through all the things they have. They'll find the plan that's right for you. 800-CAR-6000. Mention code Benson. Saves you 10%. 800-CAR-6000. Code Benson. Or go to carshield.com. Carshield.com. Use that code Benson to save yourself 10%. A deductible may apply. Chad Benson Show.
Experiencing separation anxiety? That's dumb. Check out Chad 24/7 at his website, ChadBensonShow.com, and on iTunes, free. The Chad Benson Show. Never feel lonely again.
Now, nearly 5 years after that initial diagnosis, Doherty is revealing a new struggle she's kept out of the public eye.
I have stage 4, so my cancer came back. It's a bitter pill to swallow in a lot of ways.
It's not fair. Why me?
I have definitely
why me?
Days where I say, why me? And then I go, well, why not me? Who else? Who else besides me deserves this? None of us do.
Doherty went back to work on the set of the 90210 reboot.
Yeah, Shannon Doherty announcing today that she has stage 4 cancer. It's come back. This on the heels of yesterday, Rush Limbaugh, who thought he had asthma or something, and went in and got checked, and to find out that he's got late-stage lung cancer, and it is Cancer Awareness Day, Worldwide Cancer Awareness Day, and it's just, again, it shows you that anybody and everybody can be touched. It doesn't matter the color of your skin, again, who you love, who you worship, where you put your vote. Cancer's real, and it's out there, and it affects everybody. It does. It absolutely does. And so your prayers for these people, and do all you can, but the best thing that you can do is try to take care of yourself and try to get involved wherever you possibly can, right? Whether at the local level, on the national level, something. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. You can tweet at us. But if you think about that for a second. So you've got somebody yesterday who's arguably changed the face of radio more than anybody else, more than Howard Stern did, more than Alan Freed, the great rock jock, or Wolfman Jack, or Robert W. Morgan, and all these people in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and all of these. More than that was somebody like Rush Limbaugh. And he changed conservative and made it mainstream in a way that we've never seen. So you have somebody on the super right. And then you find out Shannon Doherty has fighting cancer again, who is the polar opposite of him. Uber left wing, right? Like super, super left wing. But they share this thing in common. And it just shows you how A, fragile life is, and B, how when we fight about all of this other stuff, right, and we argue about all this other stuff, and we sit there and that this is real life. Everything else is just anymore, it's reality television. But these kind of things are real life in a way that I think we all need to remember, that sometimes we don't. Because in our fighting each other over politics, we forget that the other person is exactly that, a person. That's a person right there. What? Yes, that is a person who has feelings, who's a husband, a wife, a daughter, a son, an aunt, an uncle. And we need to start learning how to speak to one another in a cordial way again. Great to disagree. We should have, man, I'm all up for ideas. I'm all up for all of these things. It's great to disagree. It's great to have arguments. It's great to, as long as we realize that we're trying to argue our point of view anymore the way that we argue. And this is what we have seen too much in politics over the last umpteen years, which is we're not arguing that our ideas are better. We're just saying the other person's way worse than we are. And that is not a victory. Impeachment still going on. Tomorrow will come to an end. State of the Union tonight.
We must vote to reject the House abuse of power. Vote to protect our institutions. Vote to reject new precedents that would reduce the framers' design to rubble. Vote to keep factional fever from boiling over and scorching our republic. I urge every one of our colleagues to cast the vote the facts, the evidence, the Constitution, and the common good clearly require. Vote to acquit the president of these charges.
Mr. McConnell, couldn't be any more boring if he tried. Oh, no, he can. He told me. You don't think I could be even more boring? Even though I try? Oh, I think you could. I'm pretty sure you could. They're going to acquit him. State of the Union, though, we'll still have that hanging over it tonight. See what Trump does. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Do you think Iowa should just punt? Give everybody equal amount of delegates and we all move on? Even though there's winners and there's losers, it still feels like there should be an asterisk next to it. Chad Benson Show.
This is the Chad Benson Show. Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
I'm told the president's been working through his speech on teleprompter yesterday with his aides. What they are telling us is this will be a positive, forward-looking message, touting his achievements, particularly on the economy. He doesn't plan to dwell, we're told, on the impeachment trial. Unclear exactly whether or not he'll even mention it. That'll probably be a game-time decision.
Yeah, and with Trump, you never know. And, we're not too far away from it. I don't know what it's going to look like. I don't know what it's going to sound like as far as, is it going to be very Trumpian-esque? I know it's going to be optimistic. It's going to be forward-thinking. He's going to talk about the economy. That's going to be his big thing. Hey, guess what? America, we're back. We're stronger than ever. We don't need to be involved in all these foreign wars. The stock market is booming. We brought back manufacturing jobs. Look at unemployment. It's low. It's going to be a lot of that stuff. But you never know. What you can't predict is the off script, right? That's what you can't predict. What's he going to do off script? Now, this is his third one. He tends to be, when it comes to these, pretty much whatever is written, he's going to say. He might have a few quibs here and there, but it's not like when you see him at a rally, right? And if we take anything away from his ad the other day at the Super Bowl, I think you guys can get a feel of this.
America demanded change.
Donald Trump wins the presidency.
And change is what we got. Under President Trump, America is stronger, safer, and more prosperous than ever before.
Best wage growth I think we've seen in almost a decade. Unemployment rate sinking to a 49-year low.
Unemployment for African Americans, it fell to a new low.
Unemployment for Hispanics hit an all-time record low.
And ladies and gentlemen, the best is yet to come. I'm Donald J. Trump, and I approve this message.
Yeah. You're going to see that. Optimistic. Look at us, man. Look at the numbers. We have brought back some manufacturing jobs, even if that doesn't bear out to be the way it is. It's not the greatest economy in the history of economies and history of economies, but it's a pretty damn good economy. Right? You've got to give him plaudits for that. Whether people want to or not, you do. Because if it was going the other way, you'd hold him completely accountable, as you should. But you can't have it, I'm only going to hold him accountable or say anything about him when it goes negative. It doesn't get to work that way. Right? It doesn't. This is the way it works. He's the chief executive, right? He is the CEO. He is the president. If things go bad, it's on him. If things go good, it's on him. Too often, everybody wants to cherry pick. Right? It's like watching the impeachment thing. Everybody wants to have their witnesses, and they want to be able to ask their witnesses their questions and not have anybody else ask other questions or have other witnesses. Same thing when it comes to President of the United States. Right? The other team doesn't want there to be good. They want the president to fail. It's really weird. We have this crazy system where we want the other side. We don't want America to go to hell in a handbasket, but we want the other side to do really bad. What? That's weird. Yeah. I don't want you guys to win, but I don't want you to lose, but I kind of want you to do bad. Huh? Because that way, if you're winning, then we're not winning. And that's the take that a lot of people have. So he's going to come out and he's going to do his thing and he's going to talk about a lot of the stuff that he has done that he laid out doing. Right now, he's not done the wall yet. And that was a big one. And the one little bit of wall they built down in San Diego, blown over the other day into Mexico. That's kind of funny. But it'll be interesting to see how he touts this and where he goes with this.
Congressman David Schweikert says the president should definitely tout the booming U.S. economy.
Particularly in labor markets, in economic stability. And I desperately hope there's a conversation of how do we keep it going as long as possible.
Congressman Andy Biggs agrees with that, adding,
getting our men and women home and out of interminable wars. I think he's going to talk about the rebuilding of the judiciary that he's been engaged in.
Biggs also wouldn't be surprised to hear the president strike a defiant tone over impeachment.
Yeah. I don't think he will, right? Most people are saying, from what I understand, that, and the people I talked to, a couple of the Congress people and senators both said that they've kind of implored with him, look, leave it out, right? Just leave it. You don't need to talk about it. Just run with your State of the Union. Talk about grades. Talk about what you've done judiciary. Talk about how many judges you've appointed, how you're reshaping it. My contention has always been, at the end of the day, and especially if Trump gets reelected, his legacy isn't going to be the economy, good or bad. His legacy isn't going to be the unemployment number. His legacy here in this country is going to be the court system, which may shape this country for several decades. That's massive. That cannot be underplayed. And I think he needs to really tout that. But yes, the economy. Yes, getting us out of endless wars. Absolutely. Becoming more energy independent is huge. Talk about these things, right? Talk about immigration and the numbers. Because if you look at the numbers, weather's pretty good, right? Normally, what do we see? So weather starts to cool down. The migration picks up again because people are trying to stay away from that part of the season where through the desert and through certain areas, it's just unbearably hot and it's just too dangerous. Talk about how the numbers are down. Talk about, USMCA. Talk about all of these things that you're touting and putting out there and things that you need to tackle. But stay away from impeachment. Implore you, stay away from impeachment. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me. You can text the program as well. Throughout the day, they're just going and going and going and going. And tomorrow they'll wrap up impeachment. I don't know what comes out of it. I don't think many people, if you're just sitting here looking, say, what did we learn from this? I don't know if we learned anything from this. I think we learned that we're more divided than we've been in a long time. I always go back when we say, well, this is the most we've divided in history. No, it's not. Remember, we once picked up arms. Families were split up. Neighbor versus neighbor. There was another time when we were divided in such a way that we couldn't even have a conversation, and that turned out to be the Civil War. We're not quite there yet, and I don't think we will get there yet, because unless it's an app, we're probably not going to get to that point.
Do we want to have at the head of our country a president, or do we want to have a king? Do we want to have an emperor? Do we want to have somebody who sits above the law? Do we want to have somebody who is unaccountable to the institutions that from the beginning of the country have said that no institution, no person in the country is above the law? That's what we fought a revolution for.
Yeah, I'm sorry, but you can sit there, Steve Schmidt, and talk about, he's not an emperor. He's not an emperor. You want to know how he's not an emperor? Because you're on TV talking about how bad he is all the time. Emperors and dictators would cut you off at the knees. You'd be rounded up in the middle of the night, dragged somewhere, waterboarded, and or executed. That's the way that works. Okay? You're not an emperor. He's not a king. It's none of those things. And they always talk about the power of the president, the power of the president.
And so there's a fundamental question that now sits on the table 11 months before an election. But make no mistake, at the aftermath of this, when he is acquitted, there will never, ever have been an American president with the power that Donald Trump possesses right now in this moment. Not FDR in the Second World War, not Lincoln in the Civil War. No president is as powerful as Donald John Trump in this hour as we get ready to see his acquittal play out.
Remember this, though. Part of that power began a long time ago with Congress giving up a lot of their rights when it came to the executive branch, ceding some of those things. We forget that. Secondly, you ask any president, they all say the same thing. You think I have all this power? I don't have so much power, right? If I had all this power, where is it? I get the things done I want. There's a process. They all get frustrated. That's why they've got executive orders, right? That's why they do those, right? So, yeah. Trump's power, though, has to do with a lot of the social media and the standing outside of it, inside of, the homes across the country and all that stuff. That's a lot of that power, but it has very little to do with legislative power and being able to go in there as the executive and try to wield power across the board. It just doesn't happen like that. I mean, my goodness, if he has that kind of power that you speak of, why'd you guys impeach him again? Because he doesn't. And we're able to keep him in check. That's something else. Again, we're not talking about some of those things. No, we should be. But we don't. We don't talk about that in a real way because everybody else has got to make the other side look absolutely awful all the time. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You should tweet at me, love and hate. And I am, by the way, 100% behind what Joe Manchin said here, which is what I've been saying since day one when it came to this entire Ukrainian thing and just going after Trump. Censure him. Censure him, censure him. You could probably get a bipartisan group of people, both sides of the aisle. You're going to get several of them will come across, and you can censure him. Does it have any power behind it or legal standing behind it? No. But what it does do is it puts something out there than just an acquittal. That's what I would do. Absolutely. Because, no, I think what he did absolutely was wrong, and there's certain questions you should absolutely have, but I think the way they go about doing things now is so bipartisan, and it's so full of disdain and hate on both sides for each other that you question the motives as well as what Trump does. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Holidays are past us. People looking around, right, thinking to themselves, I got a friend, I got an uncle, I got an aunt, somebody who served in the military, and they're struggling. How can I help? Wounded Paw is how you help. What does Wounded Paw do? They recognize the need to help veterans. A veteran put this company together, an organization that goes out and rescues animals, dogs, who would otherwise be euthanized, and trains them from just a regular old dog inside of a shelter and makes them a service dog. They do what many say can't be done. And then they unite them with our nation's heroes, our first responders, veterans, and their families. And how it changes their lives is amazing. It really is. Their motto is to save a paw is to save a life, and you can help now by giving a gift of a vehicle, unwanted vehicle. Donating is easy. The proceeds are used to protect, advocate, and transform shelter dogs to service dogs for veterans, first responders, and their family. You get a great tax-deductible gift. You take action today. Give them a buzz. Said, Chad told me to give you guys a call. And you watch and see what those proceeds can do and how it changes life. 844-678-4PAW. 844-678-4729. Or visit woundedpawproject.org. Woundedpawproject.org. Chad Benson Show.
I, you, he, she, it. Lucy is a girl.
Point of personal privilege. Please do not use gendered language to address everyone.
Shut up, boo. Ain't nobody got time for this.
This is the Chad Benson Show.
The Iowa Democratic Party said its systems were secure. There was not a cyber intrusion, but what the party called a coding issue in the reporting system. The data was sound, but the app was reporting only part of it. The issue was identified and fixed, but caucus captains had to call in the results. Party officials had to enter the data manually, and that, the statement from the Iowa Democrats, Iowa said, took longer than expected.
Now, again, all the information comes out. We look around. I don't know if I believe any of it. Because they're not saying it was an issue. It's apparently a major issue. And even though they had backups supposedly with the data going into the app, how much of that's just written on a piece of paper, right? It's not like that in their computer. I was looking at some of that stuff last night, and I was thinking to myself, people are just writing stuff down, right? Then they're going to go put it into this app. What if you didn't realize the app was crap, because it was a crap app, until 2-3 hours later? And as you're going, you're putting your information in, and you're throwing away the piece of paper, and now they're like, well, do you have the information? Well, I don't. And I don't know if I trust all the stuff that was going in there. So celebrate, don't celebrate, yay for Pete Buttigieg, yay for Biden, yay for Bernie, yay for Yang, yay for everybody. Who believes any of the stuff that came out? I don't think you can. I don't think you can feel really good about it. This was a disaster. This was an unmitigated disaster. It absolutely was. There is no, do-over. There's none of that. This was a disaster. And it started by the fact that they put together an app that they thought would make things easier. And instead of beta testing it across the board, and they could say, oh, we did. No. The government, the federal government, of which you want more of, offered to help beta test it and to look at the back door to make sure that it couldn't be hacked or any of these things, and you turned it down. Well, that's not true. Really? Sorry. You had a coding issue. It's a mess. There is no going back. There's no turning the clock to fix this. And nobody believes any of these results. Really. And the winners can't celebrate the way they maybe want to because they're like, it's the oomph has been taken out. And the losers can say, well, look at this. Reality, we don't think we lost because of all of this other stuff that went into it. We can't be sure we trust any of this. Oh, I agree. Mess. An absolute mess. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me. You can text the program as well. What do you think of what took place in Iowa? Love to hear from you. Text us or tweet at us. It's the Chad Benson Show.
Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
In just the last decade, new medications have been shown to help our own immune systems to fight cancer.
We're seeing the impact of new therapies actually begin to have a longer-term impact.
Dr. Howard Burris is president of the American Society of Clinical Oncology, whereas 20 years ago, kidney cancer, for example, automatically meant kidney removal.
These targeted therapies might actually eliminate the need for surgery in this type of cancer.
Still, nearly 15,000 Americans die every year from kidney cancer.
Cancer itself, as we look out, today is World Cancer Day, and it's a tough thing. Yesterday, in my industry, but somebody well known to everybody, made an announcement. Somebody who is an inspiration and truly the king of radio made an announcement about his recent bad news.
The upshot is that I have been diagnosed with advanced lung cancer. Diagnosis confirmed by 2 medical institutions back on January 20th. First realized something was wrong on my birthday weekend, January 12th. And I wish I didn't have to tell you this. And I thought about not telling anybody. I thought about trying to do this without anybody knowing, because I don't like making things about me. But there are going to be days that I'm not going to be able to be here.
So Rush Limbaugh, dealing with lung cancer, late stages. A little while ago, Shannon Doherty announced that her cancer has returned and she has stage 4 cancer. People are touched. You know, we talk about politics and we sit here, and yesterday you saw some people come out and say some awful things about Rush, because that's what we do nowadays. But by and large, a good majority of people, even on the other side of the aisle, said, look, you know, I don't like his politics. But I don't want anybody to get this. And this is what makes us human, right? It's not the red and the blue. It's not Democrat and Republican and progressive, liberal, and this is what makes us human. We're all in this thing together, right? Cancer doesn't care if you're black or white, gay or straight. Cancer doesn't care if you voted for Trump or you voted for Hillary. It doesn't care. And that's sometimes we need to remind ourselves that, look, for all the other stuff, we're humans. We're Americans. We're in this thing together. So, and I'm sure most of you listening have either battled with cancer, either personal level, maybe yourself have had it, or you've known somebody who has. Not too many people out there anywhere who can say, well, I've never met anybody or have known anybody who's ever even had cancer at all. Most of us have, right? We've had family members. And again, maybe it's you. So it's something to think about on this day. And we've made huge strides. But there's a long way to go. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at us. So they have sent out like a statement, the Democrats and the people who put this absolutely awful app together. And this is pretty awesome. Listen to this. So they go through the usual, last night more than 1,600 precincts caucus together, blah, blah, blah. They go through this. But this is the weird part. As part of our investigation, we determined with certainty that the underlying data collected via the app was sound. So all of the data was good. While the app was recording data accurately, it was reporting only partial data out. So wait a minute. It recorded it fine, but it spit out only certain amounts. We've determined that this was due to a coding issue in the reporting system. The issue was identified and fixed. The application's reporting issue did not impact the ability of precinct chairs to report the data accurately. So wait a minute here. I just want to get this correct. You had the app. They recorded everything and it went into the app fine, right? But it didn't come out fine. But now you fixed it because there wasn't an issue except for the part where there was a coding issue. And I go back to the fact that this was not beta tested worth a damn. This wasn't beta tested at all. You can tell. And people, I'm telling you guys right now, this is going to be one of those scenarios where people are, you watch. Already there's been letters sent. I know that, and this shows, I think, also the weakness that Biden's lawyers have already sent a letter. And I think that's because I don't think he has the staying power. This is ugly. I mean, this is not a good look for you. This is not a good look at all. They could spin it however they want to spin it, that it was this or was that, but you have one job to do. You have one job to do. It shouldn't have been that hard. You build an app, right? You got 15-year-old kids that build apps and get them all over. They get them onto Apple. They get them all over. I mean, it's just, you know, you can go to Google Store. You can download. You got kids building these things that work, that are far more complex. And you guys couldn't do this and beta test it in a way? It was not ready for prime time? That is an absolute joke. People should be fired today. Heads should roll. That money you paid for that app, you should get all that money back. What an absolute joke this was. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me. You can text the program as well. Super Bowl, huge.
Chiefs are Super Bowl champions. 99.9 million total viewers watched the Kansas City Chiefs beat the San Francisco 49ers to win the Super Bowl Sunday night on Fox. That's up a tiny bit from last year when 98.2 million watched the Patriots beat the Rams. It's the first time in 5 years ratings for the big game went up, and when you add in Fox Deportes, NFL, and Verizon digital properties, the number climbs to 102 million. But that's second to the halftime show. 103 million tuned in specifically to see Jennifer Lopez and Shakira, up 4% from Maroon 5 last year.
Yeah. Remember Maroon 5, too. Let's go back a year and remember Maroon 5, right? Adam Levine had his shirt off. Girls were swooning over him. I didn't hear the big thing. Yesterday, people freaking out. And, oh, my God, and they were shaking their butt. Get over yourselves. Well, I didn't like it. There was a poll out there. There's little kids in the room. Come on, right? First of all, you're the parent. Yeah, you guys shouldn't watch this. Let's practice together. Hey, you guys shouldn't watch this. Go in the other room. You shouldn't watch this. You shouldn't. I was talking to Governor Doug Ducey, Arizona governor, yesterday, and he's like, well, I liked it when there was Tom Petty. And I'm like, Tom Petty was awful. Right? He was. That's because we had, remember the whole Nipplegate thing, right? Like we saw Janet Jackson's nipples and people had to go and people had to go into therapy. And it was like, well, how do you explain this to your kid? It was like, it's a boob. Get over it. We're moving on with life. Right? That's what it is. There you go. It's a boob. Oh, my God. Still, it's crazy to sit here and to watch people argue yesterday about, well, this was too risque, or it was too this, or it was too that. It was a halftime show, and that's what people wanted. They wanted to show, right? Nobody wants to watch somebody come out and just stand out there and go, born in the U. Nobody wants to see that. They want explosions. They want big things. It's a show. It is. And that's what it was. A lot of people tuned in. I've always said, too, look at the halftime numbers compared to everything else. Halftime numbers were bigger than that. Now, everybody's there for the Super Bowl, but more people will wander in just to watch that and leave. Like, if that was the only thing on, that's not going to be 103 million people. But because it's part of the spectacle, they watch it. But the fact that we're talking about, said, you guys, oh, my God, I can't even believe, oh, geez. And then they showed their butts, and they shook their butts, and what will we do? Therapy. It was a little too much. Ah, jeez. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tonight, the President's State of the Union. A lot of people are going, is he going to mention it? Is he going to?
Tonight will mark just the second time in history an American president has delivered a State of the Union address during an impeachment trial. When President Clinton was in the same position in 1999, he didn't even acknowledge his ongoing trial. White House Press Secretary Stephanie Grisham on Fox this morning said she didn't think President Trump will either.
If you look at the ratings, the American people are frankly bored of it. I don't think people want to hear that. People want to hear what the president has done for this country and what he's planning to do for this country.
Karen Travers, ABC News, the White House.
Yeah, and Karen's right there. I don't think he's going to mention it, you know, and if he does, it'll be something offhand, right? Because I don't think they're writing it into it, but he's got to take a, you know, just take a quick lesson in history and how you address something like this, and the way you address it is not addressing it. That's the best thing to do. Do not address it, ignore it, move on. There you go. Don't address it. Move on and talk about all the things that you want to do. Talk about the good things. Talk about the fact that we've taken out some bad guys. Talk about the fact that you're trying to pull some troops, but all of a sudden you're putting troops back. Talk about the economy still being good, low unemployment. Talk about the things that matter to the people. And based on the numbers, nobody's really paying attention, partly because we already know what the outcome's going to be. Right? And the other part is a lot of times we tuned into certain things like the impeachment of Clinton. Yes, it was salacious, but we were hearing the information for the first time. I don't even really remember the House side of it. I remember the trial itself. We saw everything in this one. So there was nothing new to be learned. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. I'm an active person. I'm up early. I'm up late. Workout. People always go, how do you do it? Simple. Take care of myself to, you know, eat pretty good. But I also look for, especially when I'm working out and I need a little oomph and I like to get myself going, those endorphins and stuff, I need a little help. And that is where Beat Elite comes in. Humans Beat Elite is amazing. It can help extend endurance, which it does. I really feel it. So I get about 30, 40 minutes before my workout. And about 15 minutes into my workout, I feel it just like I got more endurance. I feel like I can extend my workout, and that's exactly what I do. Beat Elite will help you improve energy and stamina, increase oxygen delivery throughout the body. And I take it when I go play soccer. And I play soccer 3-4 days a week. And I run, and I try to, and I work myself up to it throughout my workout, where by the end of it, I feel like I'm going harder and I feel like it could stay longer. And that's what I love about it. Beat Elite is trusted by hundreds of elite teams, athletes, and organizations all over the world. So you know what? You're getting the top-notch performance product that's out there. If you're like me and you want to work out a lot and you also want to make sure you get a little bit of energy in that workout where you can extend it, this is what it's all about. Do what I did. Take your game to the next level. Beat Elite. Beat Elite. It's that simple. Go to livehuman.com/Chad. Get 20% off your first purchase. The team at Human is making this offer exclusively to my listeners only. You're not going to find a deal like this anywhere else. Nobody else has this. We do. LIVEHUMAN. HUMAN.com/human. Livehuman.com/Chad. Chad Benson Show.
Set Chad straight. Text the show, 323-538-2423. That's 323-538-CHAD. Someone has to do it. Might as well be you. The Chad Benson Show.
They seem unable to run a caucus in Iowa. So I think as long as there's confusion on their side, I think it allows the president to be able to tell more of his story, which is what he'll be doing.
Yeah, so he's going to be telling his story tonight. And then there's going to be reaction to said story. So Pelosi and the Dems got together and chose somebody a little bit out of the box. Gretchen Whitmer, Democrat, governor of Michigan. Michigan is vitally important to the Democrats. Will give the response to Trump's State of the Union. So we'll see what she's going to talk about.
I'll highlight the stark contrast between Democratic action and Republican inaction. Right now, there are more than 275 bipartisan bills that Nancy Pelosi and Congress has sent to Majority Leader Mitch McConnell's desk, and they're just gathering dust.
Yeah, it's true. By the way, there was about that many when Paul Ryan had it there too. Mitch is the killer of bills. And it was the same thing too, if for the other side. Sometimes the House will do stuff in a bipartisan way. It doesn't mean the Senate's going to do it. So she's going to talk about a lot of different things tonight, and it's important. They have to send somebody out that's really going to do something. This has become a bigger deal for a lot of people over the last several years, sending somebody out. And remember, we had Kennedy a few years ago, didn't look good. Marco Rubio with the drink. I mean, you've got to really send somebody out you think is going to make some noise and bat back all the things that the president, no matter what side of the aisle, says.
This is about our country. This is about our future. This is about our moral standing in the world. And this is about ensuring that my kids and every child in this country can live a good life in this country.
Which they can. So you listen to Democrats, right? And the world's coming apart, right? When the Democrats were in power, you listen to the Republicans, and we were pretty much done. There wasn't much left of America.
I wanted to address our teachers and our students and our parents, people that are thinking about the future in this country, people who know that bullying people on Twitter doesn't build bridges.
So Governor Gretchen Whitmer from Michigan will deliver the magical response to the State of the Union. Trump says he's looking ahead. Trump says he's going to talk about his story, America's story, how it's back, the State of the Union. Are you guys prepared for that? Are you going to pay attention to it? Right? Is this something we even tune into anymore? Much like a lot of these other things that happen, right? Because we have access now 24/7 to politicians, kind of like award shows. We used to tune in because we didn't see them very much. We only saw them when they were in videos for movies or this, that, and the other. Now we're with them 24/7. We have 24/7 access, and the same thing goes for politics. Do you pay that much attention to it anymore? I don't know. I don't know if we do. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at us. In Iowa, I think here's what I think they should just look at Iowa across the board and say, all right, everybody gets a trophy. Everybody gets a point. We have 41 delegates. How many people ran here? 50? Oh, we're going to have 50 delegates. So 41. Everybody gets one. That's it. But we won. No, slow your roll. But he said he won. Slow your roll. But she's claiming it. Slow your roll. It is Black History Month, and we'll be taking a look at some people. I wish I had more time to do this one. But as we talked yesterday about somebody like Rush Limbaugh announcing he has cancer and the legend that he is in radio, I look back to another person who was huge. Ralph Waldo Green, simply known as Petey Green in D.C., was a massive star. Somebody like Howard Stern credits him for being a huge influence in what he did, well ahead of his time. And it's a great movie out about him. Don Cheadle stars, but he was somebody who was also credited with, after Martin Luther King's assassination, of really quelling the riots and bringing people together. Interesting character, to say the least. Have yourself a wonderful rest of your day and evening, and we'll get through it as we always do. Get you over the hump again tomorrow. Have fun at the State of the Union. As always, night-night, Jack.
This is the Chad Benson Show.